Before I continue talking about some phone issues I'm having, I wanted to talk about responsibility for a minute. My mouth is very dry. I'm drinking some tea that doesn't help. But I'll try to do this the best I can. Man, my throat and mouth are dry. Anyway, so one of the things you gotta understand, let's say you have I'll give you three examples. I'm 32 and I have to use a cane to walk around. That seems pretty ridiculous. I have an 84-year-old that will just walk around while pooping on the floor. Pretty ridiculous. And I have a father, 89, that likes to blame other people for his own problems. Oh, well, I'm in Florida. That's a choice. Oh, well, it's your problem. Oh, well, I'm not doing that. Oh, stuff like that, like childish stuff. But here's the difference of the three. Can I control if my back or legs were broken or if I needed a cane? No. It's a medical condition. If I stop using the cane, I fall, get stuck, and then I'm stuck there until somebody finds me and brings me to the hospital. That's not a choice. Walking around the house without your colostomy bag attached while you have colostomy bags but you're not keeping them with you, that's a choice. You're making a choice to keep things far away from you when they could be hanging like they are now, because I had arguments with my roommate for about 6 years that he needs to keep his bathroom problems in the bathroom. You cannot poop in front of neighbors' doors out in the house. You need to keep it in the bathroom. Then you got my father. He has lied and manipulated to Social Security. He's allowed his wife to screw up medical records. They have OD'd me at age 6 to 7. They trafficked me around the country. They even made sure I lost 4 years of education. They made a choice to put me in New Mexico, and then they sued them after, they knew it was bad. You could see it was bad. And then when I tell them they're the only people that can get paperwork, and there's two ways I can do this. One, I can spend the next 10 years getting injured until I'm in a wheelchair, and then the doctors will give me paperwork on what happened to me in the last 25 years. Or he can make the choice to take responsibility. But instead, he makes the choice to do other stuff. This is where it comes in very, very important, it comes in handy to do these things right and understand that if you have something funny happening to you or ridiculous happening to you, but it's out of your control, it's not a choice. If you get hit by a car and your legs are broken and you can't go back to work, you're not making a choice not to work. You are injured and you keep on asking to go back to work injured. You are doing all these other things to get back to work. You're taking new medicines to get back to work. You're doing physical therapy, whatever. You're making a choice to do better, and it's not your choices that are ridiculous. Your medical conditions out of your control. Now, how about my roommate? He has a medical condition, but he's making a choice to keep this bag not there. I've been arguing with him for 6 years that I don't want that on the kitchen table. I'm tired of cleaning poop where I eat. I'm tired of seeing it on carpets and all over and on my med bag. There's no reason I don't wipe my ass in the middle of the kitchen. I don't cook a meal and decide, oh, I gotta go over to the stove because that's where I keep my toilet paper to wipe my ass. No, if something happens where I don't have toilet paper in the bathroom, I go out and grab it, I come back to the bathroom, and then I wipe my ass. But I always try to keep toilet paper in the bathroom. Just like my roommate should always keep his colostomy bags in the bathroom. Unless he's going out of the house, he has a separate bag on a hook, what I just showed you, but he keeps all his boxes on the kitchen table and he keeps all his gear. Now I made him a special box set. He has no reason for it. He's making bad choices. I've made a choice to set him up with boxes for it. I made a choice to give him a hook. I've told him this for 6 years. And if you do make a mess in the kitchen, it's your choice to clean it up. But instead, he leaves it there. Well, my father does the same thing. My father will make bad choices that harm other people and then blame other people or run away and then say, I've ran away too far, so I can't do it. He makes choices that are in his control to change. But when I have a seizure on the side of the road, is that a choice? Am I making a choice to end up in the hospital unconscious? Yes. When I have a seizure, I not only am unconscious for 5 minutes, if I receive a severe head injury, sometimes it can be much longer. And sometimes I lose the ability to use my legs properly, arms properly, or speak properly after these seizures. Is this a choice? Do I sound funny because I'm making a choice to sound funny? No, it gets worse every year. It is a medical condition, just like a paraplegic is not making a choice to be in a wheelchair. Just like that. So remember, there are choices that have consequences if you make them. But trying to mix everything up to avoid responsibility, that's another choice to avoid responsibility. If you want context, you're able to seek it out. If you want the truth, if you want more, if you want to get better, you can always try to get better. But if you only care about partying on a beach someplace, having old man parties, by the way, that's another thing I should explain. When you're a child, your parties are like eating cake and getting gifts. When you're a teenager, your parties are like paintball and things like that, still getting gifts. When you become in your 20s, your parties are usually drinking, women, having fun, loud radios. When you get to your 40s, your parties are like going out to eat with friends at a good restaurant, Chinese food, something like that, maybe a little good music, having family over, that type of stuff. Then you get to your 50s and 60s, then your parties become, I want to be left alone with just a couple people. But then you get to the parties like, I'm going to go on a cruise, I'm going to go on vacation, I'm going to go to the beach, I'm going to drink martinis on the beach, I'm going to read a book on the beach, I'm going to take a nap on the beach, I'm going to go someplace else and just relax, I'm going to go and sit and just take a nap, I'm going to feed somebody out at an expensive park, or I'm going to go out to eat on this great place. Your parties become, I'm going to party on the beach by sitting there. It's something that takes a whole day out of your day and it's enjoyable. That's all a party is. If you're making a choice to party day and night because you're on retirement, that's fantastic. If you handled your shit and nobody's dying because of you, you didn't commit any crimes, you didn't steal from anybody, nobody is hurt because of your actions, you're not running from anything, if you handled your shit and you have enough money to have an old man party every day, go on a cruise and sit on a beach, then go out to eat and take a nap, watch TV, have your grandkids over, then say they're too hyper, so have somebody pick them up. Damn, they're too much. Get rid of them. The only part of that is not an old man party is having the grandkids over. But even that can be enjoyable if you make it. But see, anything can make you happy. Anything can be enjoyable. You don't need to drink and party and have fun to be happy. If you think that that's true happiness, drinking a lot, sitting on a beach, going on vacation, taking cruises, going to expensive dinners, if you think that that is parties, where I've seen lots of them. Or here's one. Some people like to give out money for strangers. That's what makes them happy. I've seen a lot of elderly people go around just giving money to strangers because they think it makes them happy. That's not true happiness. There's a lot more to it than that. I mean, yes, doing nice deeds can make you happy, but if you're doing it for recognition for people and telling them about it, like my mother did, that can become dangerous, because then you don't actually have to do the good deed. You just have to look like you're doing a good deed. Even if the person is suffering greatly, as long as you're faking it, you still get that good feeling, because you're not doing it for the good deeds. You're not doing it for God. You're doing it for that I feel good feeling. And to get that feeling, you can either fake a good deed, you can tell people about good deeds, or you can do good deeds, or you can pretend to do good deeds, and you still get that feeling. It's like the people that say, well, I donated money, so I'm a good person. Oh, really? Tell me, which family used that money? Well, they said they would use it for poor people. Which business? What poor people? Is his name Steven? What's his name? Oh, we didn't give the money to the actual poor people. They'll just spend it on drugs. So we gave it to this place. And then you Google and find out 92% of the money you gave just went to marketing. Was actually a bunch of CEOs and rich people who started the charity. Anybody can do it. All you do is you get a lawyer, you open up a charity, then you just ask for donations. But then you write in the fine print 78% goes to marketing and to pay the employees working on the charity. But if you're the one working on the charity, you're keeping the money for yourself, and then you can decide where the other 28 goes. So you give 28% to the homeless shelter, but you keep 78. Well, that's not what charity is about. It doesn't take 78% to just ask for money. You can ask for money on a phone line, and you can open a charity out of your house. There's many addresses you can open a charity with. A lawyer can open it up very easily. And then you just got to put up ads. And it doesn't take 78% of the money coming in to do that. But if you look online, you'll quickly notice that most charities keep most of the money for their CEOs, their marketing department. Meanwhile, the actual people that need the money get something like anywhere from 3% all the way to 25, 40%. St. Jude is one of the only charities I know that give a large percent actually to the charity, the children that need it. Yep, St. Jude is a pretty respectable charity if you're going to donate, because they give a large cut actually to where it goes. But see, you want to have a good feeling. So you just throw some money at a charity and you say, I'm a good person, without actually knowing if you're a good person or not. Did you just give money to a rich guy? Did you just give money to somebody who was well off? Maybe you did, maybe you didn't. You say you gave money to the poor, but did you see them get better? Did you see them get housing? That's the problem. People want the good feeling without the work. Now, the phone thing. Somebody has hacked into my phone for a long time now. It's messing with my Google results when I ask a question. And there's only a couple people. It could be the government, like Rochester from an investigation, but it seems to be more like somebody from my family, because the way that I see it popping up in some of the weird permissions, and I'm blocked from even my own changing my own permissions. I'm not even kidding. I've got screenshots and videos of this. I try to shut off permissions and it's locked, and somebody else definitely has control, because somebody else can change the settings of my phone, but I'm not allowed to. It's very, very weird, and it's been going on for years. I'm pretty sure somebody is on my cameras at time too. It just, something is really funny with my phone. Like, I will get 22 minutes of storage and only get 3 minutes back. There's a lot of weird results. Like, I'll ask a question at the library on Google, same exact words. It'll be very clear cut, but I come home and most of the results are missing. Like, here's one for you. I was looking for an article that I saw at the library and in the newspaper that talks about how elderly people after 60 start turning into children and having children behaviors. And that's due to their memory loss. They're also forgetting their childhood. So the lessons they learned during childhood have now been forgotten. So there's a lot to this. Also, it's a lack of wanting to take responsibility. They have done their work, they feel like, so they should never have to do anything again for anybody. But remember the 1920s and 1917? How many people had retirement? How many people were working their lives to death? How many people gave their lives so that the people born in 1930, 1940, 1950, 1960, 1970 could have a decent life? See, back then, if you were a hard worker and you were born in 1940, you would be well off today, even if you started at a gas station. As long as you worked hard and you worked with a bank, nobody was going to steal and ruin your name. But today, we are ruining orphans' names. We're sucking kids dry. We're literally sucking the homeless dry. I see it all the time. The homeless have a hard enough time as it is. They have to pay double for things. They get treated poorly. They get sick and get illnesses more than anybody else. They're prone to addiction. People are trying to use them. Drug dealers are looking them out, seeking them out. And when they want to go get their supper at a church, 40% of the people at that church will be ready to use them and try to suck money out of them. But it doesn't stop there. The doctors want to use them. They want to suck them dry. Businesses, like, let's say you're homeless and all you want to do is go to work. That's it. You want to go to work, save some money, get an apartment. That's what I wanted to do. A lot of works will suck you dry and not even pay you. They'll have you work and give you excuses and suck you dry. Meanwhile, you die from exposure outside because if you work, a lot of times the shelter won't let you back in. You have to get a note from work, and some bosses are like, no, we don't do that stuff here. If you're going to need a note to work, I'm sorry, you better find another job. So then you tell wherever you're staying, sorry, they said I have to work past 7. Well, if you don't, no, you're out. Because I'm working? No, because you don't check in at 7. Yeah, but my job told me if I leave work 2 hours early, I'll be fired. So get them to write us a special note and fill out this form. So you bring the form and they go, I told you, we're not doing that. If you have to do that, go find another job. So there's a lot of problems, as well as they try to disqualify the people that actually want to go and do right, while kind of allowing well-off rich people to suck other people dry. Like, for instance, the doctors love sucking the people on state insurance dry during childhood. They become disabled, mentally ill during childhood. I've seen a lot of orphans from the orphanage in Massachusetts start out just fine, and as time goes by, they get worse. Like Jasmine. She's a very good example. Or Gabby, she's another good example. They start out with no problems. Then they're sent to a hospital where there's doctors and they're on state insurance. And they come out all wacky on pills. And then 3 years later, they're living in the homeless shelter. So they start out at age 10 perfect. Then by age 13, things are going nuts and they don't understand what the doctors and teachers and people are doing to them. By the time 18 comes around, they don't want medicine, but they're forcing the medicine on them, but the kid knows don't reduce it. Then maybe their brother picks on them and smacks the girl because the girl's 18, 17 years old, and the little brother is 16, but he's big and fat and giant. It looks like he's 19, and she's a skinny little twig. So she tries to defend herself. She just says, no, punches him back. Siblings fighting. But who do you think gets hurt by this? When the stepfather comes in and sees these two fighting, he sends the stepchild away into a fucking hospital for 30 days or more. In that hospital, the doctors will experiment with her body. Here, try these pills, try these pills, try these pills. And all they're trying to do is make her lethargic, quiet, and slow. That way she's not a problem for the father. The father goes, I can't stand this fighting behavior. She's violent. Meanwhile, the brother is actually the one who's violent and upset. If you knew Jasmine, that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. The brother, you could see that from the pictures. He's a big, bulky muscle guy. Big, fat muscle kid. He looks way too old for his age. But he's the real son. So the father goes, I want her to stop. They drug her until she's slow and confused. And then what do you think happens when she becomes 19? And the father's like, I don't have to support her no more. They send her to the street, and Big Pharma continues sucking this girl dry because she's on tax-paid insurance. So let's suck the taxpayers' dollars out of this girl. And they just keep on sucking and sucking and sucking when all she needs is housing and a job. That's it. You give her housing, you get her off all the drugs, you give her some time to recover from what the doctors and society did to her, then she goes to work and you would see an improvement. I have seen this in many people. You give them 5 years to recover off the drugs. You give them a place to live so they're not dying of exposure and they can't be taken advantage of. And as things get better and better for them, things look good. They start looking up. But we also have society issues. Like, for instance, my rent is $1,000. Well, it's $1,000 right now, but this apartment is $1,400. Plus the electric bill can be more than $300. It's always more than $300. We owe $3,000 right now, but that's because it actually was $600 during winter. That's ridiculous. Why? Because there's giant gaping holes in the window framing that the landlord refuses to fix. So we lose all our heat no matter. I try to fill them up. That doesn't matter. Gaping holes that go all around the window framing. You can seal it with foam all you want, but you're still going to lose a lot of heat. I mean, unless you replace it, because it's underneath the window, above the window, on the sides of the windows, cracks. I mean, they're warped too. So what are you going to do with a warped one? So that's a big problem. Well, oh, they give you enough money, right? Well, at the state I live in, if you are an essential service worker, you make $10 to $13 an hour. If you're lucky and you go out of the bus route, out of town to like Barrington, sometimes you can make 15 if you're really lucky. But that's only for special cases where there is no transportation. So if you don't drive because somebody made you crippled, that's impossible. That's like $1,000 in transportation every month because you would have to use a taxi. Can't do that. So let's say you work 40 hours, 50 hours, making $10 to $12 an hour. How much money would you have at the end of the month? Well, let's do the math. You would have $400 to $500 every week. Okay, 400 and 400 is 800. 400 and 400 is another 800. So that's 1,600 a month at the low, 2,000 at the high. And what is your electric and rent? Oh, $1,700. What's your transportation cost? Well, for me, it's $400 a month. Oops, something went wrong here, huh? So that's something that will be a problem for anybody that has been taken advantage of by their body being destroyed, or their mind, or their health. And this continues to be the case, where we want to slow down and make a kid quiet with drugs because the parents, you don't bite the hand that feeds you. So when these parents with foster children or adopted children go to psychiatrists saying, I want him quiet, I want him to shut up, I want him quiet, I want him still, whatever. Well, then they mess around with drug after drug after drug. And then when you get in a fist fight with a sibling, they send you away. Even though the other guy started it, even though he's big and bulky and he can knock her halfway across the room, you know, you got a skinny twig that's 17, 18, and you got a big bulky guy that is fat too. He's heavy, got big muscles, and he is what, 16? 17 is just a 2-year difference. Well, siblings fight. Did they both get sent away? No, just the girl she was sweet, perfect until she came back. When she came back from the hospital, it was very clear that it looked like she was in prison. The other girls braided her hair with a prison braid, but she also was on massive amounts of drugs. Massive amounts. When she showed me the list with what they have her on now, I almost wanted to cry. And that's when I started to realize maybe there was something wrong with the way that this is being done. And as I got older and older and older, I realized I should look into myself. How about me? I've been listening to my mother and father blindly. Maybe I should seek out professional help and just